Hello everyone, welcome back to my astrology channel. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the March 2022 astrology energies, the planetary energies, the transit and the aspects that's available in the month of March 2022, and the effect of, the entire month, the entire energy on each of the 12 zodiac sign. So before I begin with each of the zodiac sign, I just want to run through the general energy of the month of March. Now it is Pisces season, the sun is in the sign of Pisces, so the first 20 days of the month of March is going to have a leading Piscean energy. And it's not just because the sun is in the sign of Pisces. Also, the month begins with a new moon in the sign of Pisces on the 2nd of March. And then on the 8th or 9th of March, Mercury moves in the sign of Pisces. So there's a lot of Piscean energy in the first 20 days of this month. The sun, and then there is Neptune there's Jupiter already there, Mercury there. So there is a lot of buildup of Piscean energy. Now, it's the last sign of the zodiac, so it's a time of when we are connecting with ourselves, we're connecting with our inner self, we're looking at our inner desires, our subconscious motivations, and we're really, things that happen behind the scene is what is triggering us during this time. With Mercury in the sign of Pisces and is going to form conjunction as it goes through the sign of Pisces for the entire month of March, it will be making conjunction with Sun, with Jupiter, with Neptune and all that, and also aspecting planets in the earth sign, forming a very sextiling, like harmonious aspect with Uranus while it's in the sign of Pisces, because Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. The conversation, the communication you're having may be stemming from a more subconscious space, because you're connecting with yourself. Maybe you are having conversation with yourself as well, self-talk as well. You're trying to motivate yourself, you're trying to connect and create more awareness for yourself. And you are having even a good really stimulating kind of conversation with other people as well. So it's kind of asking you to connect with your compassion, your intuition, your creative side, your artistic side to reach a conclusion, or to create awareness, or to understand what motivations you have. Now there's a lot of Aquarius emphasis as well in the month of March, because Mars and Venus both going to move in the sign of Aquarius and will form a conjunction on the 6th of March itself. So with Mars and Venus in Aquarius, there's a lot of personal values, ambitions, goals all come to the forefront, and you want some kind of progressive freeing energy in that aspect, or even kind of a very sudden disruptive or just breaking through kind of energy as well, where your values are concerned, and your instinct, your instinctual need to take action and move forward, where those things are concerned. You are leading from a place of wanting to free yourself, wanting to achieve freedom, progress, change, moving forward kind of energy, definitely. Now, when Sun moves in the sign of Aries on the 20th of March, the spring equinox takes place, and we are kind of well into the new astrological year, and the spring season begins. So with Aries season, it's time to be more direct, be more honest, and just more action oriented when the Aries season begins. Now Mercury will move in the sign of Aries on the 27th of March, so your conversation is also a little bit more direct. Just be mindful of maybe thinking before what you are trying to convey, giving it a thought, because Mercury in Aries can be unfiltered kind of opinion feedback. So that's the Mercury in Aries energy. So this is the how month of March looks like. There's a lot of Pisces, Aquarius, Aries, Taurus energy in the month of March. So if you got planets in these signs, or in fact, because these all include the cardinal sign, the mutable sign, and the fixed sign, because Aquarius is a fixed sign, Pisces is a mutable sign, Aries is cardinal sign. So all the 12 zodiac sign is going to feel the different energies significantly in their life at some point in the month of March. So let's begin with the month of March and for each of the zodiac sign and how the energies, the astrological energies that's available in the month is going to affect each of the signs. Aries, for you the month of March begins with a lot of focus, continued focus on the 12th house matter. Now 12th house is your subconscious self, it's your inner self, the connecting with your inner self, creating awareness about your inner desires. It's about taking a break as well, retreating, having a time to yourself, or taking action in private, behind the scene. If you are trying to launch something, this is the time to use to do that work behind the scene. Now with a lot of Pisces influence in this month, because Sun is there, Jupiter, Neptune is in your 12th house in the sign of Pisces, Mercury is going to be in the sign of Pisces too. So there's a lot of 12th house emphasis. So there's a lot of focus on creating awareness of your subconscious self, of your subconscious motivation, your unconscious motivation. Your mind will be operating more on subconscious and unconscious level, the motivations, the understanding those motivations as well, even your intuition, your psychic abilities, your creative self, your artistic inspirational self, also dreams and all those things. It can be very much with full of messages as well during this time. And because Jupiter and Neptune is already in there and will form a conjunction in the month of April, but it's coming very close to each, to a close conjunction in the month of March as well. It's getting really close. So there's again a lot of emphasis on your, the need to trust your intuition a little bit more, creating more awareness around, your needs and, understanding your motivations, working behind the scene, being a little bit more proactive behind the scene in terms of whatever you are trying to achieve in your career matters, in your work matters, health matters, healing matters, whatever that is you're trying to achieve. It's a time to do a little bit more work in those matters. And also you think about it, also think from a more of a compassionate and sympathetic space for yourself first, Aries. And also Aries, when the Sun moves out of the 12th house and into your first house on the 28th of March, when Aries season begins, you will be able to a little bit more enthusiastic and a little bit more forthright to take action, whatever you have been preparing for, because Aries season is your season, it's your sign. And also Mercury will be moving in the sign of Aries on the 27th of March, so it's going to create a lot of emphasis on your first house, most definitely. So the action, the conversation, the communication, the skills and capabilities, the connections that you're making, the networking and all that, it's going to be a little bit more in a direct action, like the Aries, where you are really taking action on those things rather than just preparing or thinking about it while it was in the sign of Pisces in the 12th house. Now Aries, the second most influential energy in the month of March for you is your 11th house, where Aquarius sign is, because there is Saturn there, there's Venus, and Mars is going to be there too. And in the first 8 to 9 days, Mercury is also there. So there's a lot of emphasis on your social circle, on your collaborations, on your hopes and wishes, your teamwork, the organization you're part of, the cause you're part of, whatever you are doing to free yourself, where you feel connected, where you feel connected from center of your heart, because 11th house is opposite to the 5th house, which is the Leo house. So it's all about 11th and 5th house is all about connecting to something where you feel which touches your heart basically. So all this matter is going to be in focus. Now with Mars and Venus, there's going to be a lot of intense energy around your value system, around your ambition, around your goals and all that, where collaborations and just working together is concerned. Also Mercury will be forming a conjunction with Saturn towards the beginning of the month, so a lot of mature thinking, critical thinking, coming from a serious, cautious kind of space, where your thinking is concerned, where your collaboration, social circle is concerned. If you're trying to sign up to a group project or something, you will be definitely a little bit analyzing what you're getting into, a little bit more in the beginning of the month. And Venus and Mars will be making conjunction with Saturn in the sign of Aquarius towards the later part of the month and in the month of April, but mostly towards the end of the month of March, when Venus makes a conjunction with Saturn. Your values and all that is going to go through a kind of a phase where you are a bit seeing things a little bit more in a practical way, realistic way, mature way. Also be mindful that Venus rules a relationship, and when it comes close to Saturn, especially in your 11th house, so it's about your social circle, relationship in a collaboration, all that. It may be difficult to express what you are trying to, what your desires are, what your values are, what you're trying to get out of it. So definitely, if it's a solid relationship, it's going to sail through just fine. But if there is any kind of a foundation that's weak, then you have to be a little bit more cautious with your relationship towards the end of the month of March, when Venus conjuncts Saturn in your 11th house. Now Aries, the second house where the Taurus sign sits, is also quite prominent in the month of March, and going forward as well, and in the last few months as well, because North Node has shifted in the sign of your money house, personal finance, second house, Taurus sign, and Uranus is already there. And Uranus and North Node are making conjunction with other planets, especially planets in Aquarius as a squaring aspect with Saturn, Venus, Mars, Mercury, and the harmonious aspect with the 12th house planet of the Pisces, the placement where the Jupiter and Neptune. So it's making a good conjunction with those energies. So there's a lot of personal finance theme as well going through. So you may have some kind of positive energy, good news around your personal finance, and also some kind of delaying energy or redefining kind of energy, restructuring kind of energy, especially where your value system is concerned, how you view money and how you view self-worth as well, because second house deals with your personal worth, how you value yourself, in terms of your financial standing, or do you value yourself in terms of what you have to provide to the society, the contribution that you make to the society, and your talents and capabilities. That's where your real worth lies, not in the finances, Aries. So those things are also going through changes, and a new kind of energy is developing in those matters as well in the month of March and going forward as well, because North Node is going to be in that sign, in the sign of Taurus for the rest of the year, and Saturn is going to be in the sign of Aquarius the rest of the year. So from Aquarius, it is going to square your planets in Taurus. So definitely there is a lot of collaboration, how you collaborate with people and the money you earn. There can be a kind of fluctuating energy there, but it's very important to really look at your motivations. So use the month of March while your planets are in the 12th house to understand your motivation. What is your true inner desire? Why do you want to achieve whatever you want to achieve in terms of your professional gain, career matter, personal finance, your social activity, and basically for yourself as well, your self-image, the kind of image you're trying to project, Aries. So that is your leading energy with the month of March. So it's your private life, taking a break, your social group, your personal finance, your career matters, all these things is going to be in spotlight in the month of March. Taurus, for you, the month of March begins with a new moon in your 11th house in the sign of Pisces. So just to begin the month of March, it's a kind of a new energy in your social circle. So your social circle is already getting a boost because there is Jupiter in there already there. Also Mercury is going to be in your 11th house on the 9th of March. So there's a lot of emphasis on your social circle, on collaboration, group work, group projects, your professional hopes and wishes, your professional gains, just the results, the outcome you gain from making the career decisions that you have been making. So there's a lot of focus on those matters, and there's a new moon in there, so there's a fresh energy, or looking at collaborations and group projects with a fresh eye, so bringing new energy. And because Jupiter is conjunct this new moon in your 11th house, so there's a lot of beneficial happy energy to bring about change in the projects you're associating yourself with or organization that you're part of. Now, if you do want to change your organization or collaboration or connect with a different kind of work group, this is a great time to make that initiative, because Uranus is sextiling this new moon energy. So there's also the Uranus is in your first house in the sign of Taurus with North Node. So there's also already a self-image kind of, your focus on your personal destiny and personal path is so much illuminated, is such a spotlight in this entire year. But in the month of March is forming a really harmonious aspect with the new moon and Jupiter in your 11th house. So your collaboration, group project, your professional aspect, the gains that you get out of it, and your self is very beautifully aligned in the month of March, Taurus. So it's a great time to initiate something new and connect yourself with something that you feel passionate about, something that you connect on a heart level, on a soul level. Because when you connect something intuitively, something that brings inner contentment, then you perform even better. Now, besides the Piscean energy in the month of March, in the entire month of March, even though Sun moves out of Pisces on the 20th of March and into the sign of Aries in your 12th house, but entire month of March there's Jupiter, Neptune, Mercury in your 11th house. So the energy of social your social circle, collaborations, all that is going to maintain for the whole month. So definitely a great time to bring about change, and it's a good energy, benefiting energy, really beneficial energy. So definitely make some move in that direction. Now there's also a lot of Aquarian emphasis in the month of March and your 10th house, which is your career matters, because there's Venus and Mars is going to move in the sign of Aquarius from the sign of Capricorn. Now the shift from 9th house to 10th house is kind of a shift from going through a change in your perspective, in your life purpose, where you're heading, the new opportunity, to actually making these career decisions, the values you have, how you value your career matter, because Venus is about your value system, and with Mars there as well, you're very much ready to take action in your career matter. You're very ambitious, your personal goals are well defined, or you're defining them really well, because Saturn is also moving through your Aquarius sign in your 10th house. So Venus and Mars will be making conjunction with Saturn during the month of March and after that as well. Now Mercury makes a conjunction with Saturn in your 10th house. So the decisions that you're making, the conversations that you're having, or your outlook, mindset is a little bit maturing about your career matters. You are a little bit more serious in terms of how you approach your career and your skills and capability. You're kind of very serious to use them to gain career wise or climb up the career ladder. Now Venus is going to make a conjunction with Saturn towards the end of the month of March in the sign of Aquarius in your 10th house. Now Venus is to do with a relationship, so any kind of career related relationship you have, or any relationship to be honest, in the month of March, just be a little bit more cautious, because Saturn can bring a kind of an energy where you're unable to express what you truly feel. So just lead from a place of understanding your relationship with maturity, and not letting outside forces or just your own mindset affect your relationship during this time, especially if it feels limiting and restricting, especially in the month of March, because Venus is going to be because Venus conjuncting Saturn is kind of a limiting kind of energy. Now if your relationship is already solid, then you will sail through. There won't be any issues. In fact, you will strengthen the relationship during the month of March, especially towards the end of March. Now, besides the emphasis on Pisces, Aquarius, which is your 10th house and 11th house, there is obviously a major energy in your first house, 12th house, because North Node and Uranus is going through your first house, and in the month of March is going to make a really harmonious aspect with the Piscean planets, but also challenging aspect with the Aquarius planets. So Venus, Mars and Saturn in Aquarius, which is your career matter and yourself. So you may feel challenged in terms of what you're trying to achieve in career, or what you're trying to achieve within yourself, your personal image, personal destiny, life path and all that. You may feel certain sort of restriction or delays, but hang in there, Taurus, because when Saturn is going through your 10th house, it's kind of crystallizing your career matters, redefining and making it more practical and more realistic. That's what you need to focus on your career. Are your career matters practical and realistic? That's where the main focus is. And once it is really focused and practical, once Saturn moves out your 10th house and in your 11th house, that forms a very nice harmonious aspect with Uranus in your first house, then you will see the professional gains and you will even blossom in terms of your personal self, how you project yourself. Now when Sun moves in the sign of Aries on the 20th of March and into your 12th house, which is your subconscious self, it's a time of taking a break, retreating, or working behind the scene or planning behind the scenes. So use that time because Mercury is going to be there as well. And in due course, later on, Venus and Mars will move, but that's like towards the end of April. In May, that's a separate energy. But in the month of March, you will have Sun, Mercury in your 12th house. So it's definitely good time to look at your motivations, lead from an intuitive kind of place, artistic place, inspired place, space, so that the decisions that you're making is coming from what you truly desire, from inner self, not influenced or validated by external forces. So whatever you are trying to achieve going forward, Taurus, is what you are happy with, what you want from your life, because it's all about you. The next 18 months especially is so much focus on you, Taurus, with your first house angle emphasis. It's about your whole life path, in fact, is getting such a boost with North Node and Uranus in there. And with Saturn challenging this energy, there might be obviously aspects in your career matter that might feel challenged or uneasy, but rest be assured that it's only there to help you redefine your goals and lead from a more practical, mature space rather than unrealistic space. So use this month of March to really focus on your collaboration, what you're trying to sign up, your group activity and all that, and also look at your goals. Are they practical or not? Do you need to redefine them or not? And also yourself as well, because with North Node going through your first house, it's a very karmic time. It's a very spiritual time. It's not it's about leading from a spiritual space, not from a materialistic space, Taurus. So lead from a space where your soul growth is taking place, not just you're focused on accumulating wealth for yourself and have that big career and have that big project in your life. Everything needs to flow freely, Taurus, and it can only flow freely if your heart is in the right place and your the desires, your what you're trying to achieve is well defined, realistic and mature, coming from that space. So great time to focus on yourself, on your spiritual development, see your subconscious motivations, focus on the collaboration, you're getting into, look into that, what you're signing, and just be a little bit more mindful to not miss the details of the group projects that you're signing. And obviously your career matter is still growing and flourishing and redefining itself. So this is your March 2022 astrology energy, Taurus. Geminis, for you in the month of March, there's a lot of energy. In fact, a kind of a restarting kind of energy, a new beginning kind of energy in the sign of Pisces in your 10th house, in your career matters. Now, this is a great time because the new moon occurs on the 2nd of March. So in your career house, a new moon is a great time for fresh perspective on your career matters, or a new beginning in your career matters, maybe a new direction. And Jupiter is conjunct this new moon and Uranus is sextiling this new moon. So there's a lot of helping hand in terms of the new starts that you want to take in your career matters. So if you want to go in a different direction, or you want to view your career differently, or you want to change your job and do something different regarding your vocation, your calling in life, whatever that might be, this is a great time to think about all those energy or initiate something. And the effect of new moon lasts for the next 6 months, because until it's full moon in the sign of Pisces, when you will see the culmination of the actions taken now. So Geminis, is a great time to really think about making these new starts in your career matters. Now Mercury is also going to move in the sign of Pisces in your 10th house on the 9th of March. So there's a lot of your mindset, your thinking, communication, networking, all those things is also a lot around your career matter. So maybe you're connecting with people, or you're communicating with people, and you are leading from a more of a subconscious kind of state, unconscious kind of state, in terms of your awareness regarding what you want in your career matter is kind of instigated from a intuitive space. It's from a creative space, inspired space, because Pisces is kind of that 12th house energy of leading from what your gut feeling is, what your intuition is, and also to listen to your gut feeling, your intuition, and when you're making decisions. So Geminis lead from a space where you're using your intuition to make decision more than logic. Maybe you are a little bit more feelings and perception oriented during this time, especially when your career matters are concerned. Also, when Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, Pisces is a boundaryless sign. It's a limitless sign. So your mental agility, your the way you're thinking is also limitless. There's infinite possibilities maybe for you, or at least that's what is going on in your mind. So definitely it's time to also have a kind of a direction in terms of what you want to achieve, because with Jupiter, Neptune, Mercury, Sun all in your 10th house, there's a lot of 10th house emphasis. But Pisces energy is such that it can be scattered, so you need to rein in all these energy and make good use of all this energy, because it's quite beneficial and fortunate. Jupiter is quite beneficial and fortunate, and when Mercury moves in your 10th house, it's bringing that hopefulness and expansiveness to your mentality as well, and a more spiritual aspect as well to your mentality. So definitely great time to make those career moves, or the new direction or new perspective, or the looking at your career matters with a new mindset in the month of March. Geminis. Now there's a lot of Aquarian emphasis as well in the month of March and in your 9th house. So there's Venus and Mars going to be in the sign, moving the sign of Aquarius. Also Saturn is already there, and Mercury is in the sign of Aquarius in the first 9 days of the month of March. So there's a lot of the first 10 days, and there's a lot of emphasis on your 9th house as well. Now the 9th house emphasis is going to continue the rest of the month, even after Mercury moves out of the 9th house, because there's a Venus, Mars and Saturn over there, which is crystallizing your mindset, which is crystallizing how you see your vision, how you see your future, your life purpose, your spirituality, your mindset, belief system, philosophy in life, how you just comprehend everything. Now this is a great time to also initiate some kind of learning project maybe, or traveling, basically exploring options and expanding your mind. So Saturn here is kind of makes you a little bit more cautious and conservative when it comes to maybe traveling. Maybe there are restrictions to traveling during this time, and you're not able to make those decisions. But when it comes to opening up your mind, you can always do that through learning as well, or interacting with people over social media, especially with people you haven't interacted before, and people from different backgrounds, different cultures. So definitely a great time to interact with people and open yourself for new possibilities, new territories, new opportunities, Gemini, in terms of your career matters. Now on the 20th of March, Sun is going to move in the sign of Aries and in your 11th house of social circle. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis, direct action, really charging forward kind of energy, where your social circle, your collaboration, all that is concerned, where your group project and your professional gates, your hopes and wishes, all that is concerned. So this is the time to be direct where your group project is concerned, and just connecting with your peers, associates, signing that group project or changing your group project as well, because Mercury is also going to be in the sign of Aries on 27th of March with Sun. So there's going to be a lot of action and focus, spotlight on your 11th house as well in the month of March. Now Geminis, in the month of March, there's an emphasis on the Taurus sign as well, because there's North Node and Uranus in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus is your 12th house. So the planets in the sign of Pisces, which is Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, Sun, in the beginning of the in most of the month, to be honest, not just the beginning of the month, because the first 10 days Mercury is not in Pisces, but it does move in sign of Pisces. So all the planets in the sign of Pisces in your 10th house is going to aspect the Uranus and North Node energy in your 12th house, which is your subconscious motivations, you know, your need to the working behind the scene kind of energy regarding your career matters. Maybe you want to free yourself and you're working on something privately, and you probably will bring it out once you are ready for it. Now Venus will be in the sign of Aquarius in your 9th house and will be squaring Uranus in the sign of in your 12th house in the sign of Taurus. Now also later part of the month, Venus is going to form a conjunction with Saturn in the 9th house and form another squaring aspect with the true node, the North Node in your 12th house. So there's a lot of energy around your relationship, around your values, around your money as well. So you can face some kind of challenges, disruptive or sudden kind of energy where just your relationship or your value system or money matters are concerned. Now it is in the 9th house and the 12th house, so you know your beliefs, your vision around these matters or what you're trying to achieve around this may be kind of delayed or disrupted during the month of March, especially if you're trying to make some move forward and you're working on it, and so it can be faced with some kind of delays and restriction or some kind of sudden change, disruption. Maybe something you were planning didn't work out, so you need to look at it again and plan whatever the future project is a little bit more deeply and more realistically, and come from a more maturing kind of space regarding the new projects or new territories that you are trying to explore. But Gemini's planets in the sign of Pisces in your 10th house, which is Jupiter especially, is really going to have this positive beneficial aspect or hopeful and optimistic aspect as well to your the projects that you are the things, the work you're doing behind the scenes. So it is going to bring some kind of lucky break in there as well. But most important thing, Gemini's this month, is to lead from a more realistic and mature space regarding your philosophy, regarding your belief system and your values and how you approach these things. And even if you feel a delaying energy, stuck energy, especially in your need to expand, and that can be in any way or form. If you want to travel, learn, business deals, career matters, professional deals, collaborations, just your own self, home matters or whatever, career matters, relationship, anything that you want to expand. If you feel the delay or a restless kind of energy during the month of March, it's very important to redefine your goals and lead from a more realistic space and a mature space, a practical space, Geminis. So overall, Geminis, the month of March is all about your career matters, your need for exploration, need to experience new territories, new opportunities, your life purpose, what you're trying to achieve, why you're trying to achieve, what is your internal motivations, your social group, your social circle, collaboration, the network that you're part of or the network you're trying to become part of. All that thing is definitely spotlighted in the month of March. So lead from a more realistic space, more exuberant, enthusiastic, hopeful kind of space, and practical, and keep your goals, whatever area you are focusing on, keep the goals practical and realistic, Geminis. Cancer, for you, the month of March 2022, right from the beginning, there's a lot of emphasis on the 9th house matter. Now 9th house is the sign of Pisces for you, Cancer, and there's a new moon occurring on the 2nd of March in your 9th house. So when a new moon occurs in the 9th house is about your learning needs, your traveling needs, new opportunities, new territories, the need to explore and expand your mind, basically. So this new moon is going to bring this new beneficial, really positive kind of energy in your ninth house matter. Now this new moon is conjunct Jupiter and is sextiling Uranus as well. So any action taken in ninth house matter in terms of future projects, new opportunities, new territories that you want to explore, you will see some results or reaching some kind of culmination or fulfillment in in the next 6 months, when full moon occurs in the sign of Pisces in the month of September 2022. So this is a great time to have some kind of beginnings, have some start, like see a new opportunity or exploring a new territory during this time, and make some initiative, make some move towards that, to understand things in a different way, maybe interact with different people from different backgrounds, from different cultures, maybe travel if you can travel, if not learn something new, or interact with people over social media or online. So all these things will open your mind, and it's a really great energy. Now Jupiter is in your ninth house since the beginning of this year, in fact from December 2021. So there is a lot of beneficial and expansive kind of energy in terms of your ninth house, and you're really very eager to travel, explore, just explore new territories basically, and do things that you haven't done before, most definitely. Now Mercury is also going to be in the sign of Pisces in ninth house from the 9th of March. So the first 9 days it's in the sign of Aquarius, but from the 9th of March it's going to be in the sign of Pisces. Now Mercury in your ninth house is a very visionary kind of position. Your mind is thinking in terms of bigger visions, and when it comes in contact with Jupiter, your vision, your philosophy, your life purpose, all that gets a amplification. You are really very much into it during this month, and it's a great time to really explore all that area as well, Cancer. Now Aquarius is the other sign that's going to have a lot of focus in the month of March, and Aquarius is your 8th house. Now 8th house is about shared finance, shared values. It's about collaboration, coming together for mutual benefit, especially finance related mutual benefits. So Venus and Mars is going to be in the sign of Aquarius from the 6th of March, and Mercury is going to be in there until 9th of March, and Saturn is already in the sign of Aquarius since 2021. So there's a lot of 8th house energy during this month as well. So where shared finances and resources, building resources together is concerned, Cancer, you may show greater ambition and greater, you even take action that you haven't taken before, kind of a very unconventional way of out of the box thinking. So here, with where money is concerned or building resources is concerned, Cancer, during this time, during the month of March, you're not thinking much from a feeling kind of space. You're thinking more logical kind of space, because Aquarius is this logical sign. So you think, anyways, you overall think about shared finance from a more logical space rather than a more emotional space. But with Venus and Mars in there, there's a lot of energy, ambitious energy, really action, really direct action kind of energy in terms of your building resources. And with Saturn going through, you may feel some kind of delaying energy in there. Even the actions you want to take or the changes that you want to bring in your resources, in your financial matter, is a bit slow, it's a bit delayed, because Saturn is moving through your 8th house. Now Saturn moving through 8th house is also an opportunity to have practical perspective, practical approach, a mature or a cautious approach regarding your financial matters. Now the planets in the 8th house and 9th house, which is Aquarius and Pisces, is going to make aspect with Uranus and North Node in the sign of Taurus. Now that is your 11th house, Cancer. So your resources, financial matters, and your need for exploration and new encounters and exploring new territories, opening up your mind, is aspecting your collaboration that you are part of. Now with Saturn in Aquarius squaring North Node in the 11th house in your social circle, and also Uranus in your 11th house, you may feel some kind of delaying or restless kind of energy where your collaboration is concerned. Maybe something you wanted to move forward and it's not moving forward. It's very slow and very delayed in terms of a group project. Maybe something you signed up earlier, but it's just not moving forward. It's getting delayed because of whatever reasons. Now these collaborative activities, you need a kind of free kind of energy in there as well. These collaborations and social circle and all that is already going through a reboot for you with Uranus there, and North Node coming in there. You're going to feel a lot more accelerated kind of rebooting in your social circle. You're really interested in new encounters, new groups, new people to interact with, because the old circle, the old social circle is not either beneficial for you or is not, you're not interested in that anymore. So you definitely want a freeing kind of energy, change kind of energy in those areas. And with 9th house, you're exploring and you are really going out there to experience new areas, especially maybe something related to foreign country, something outside. So you are definitely bringing that energy as well. But all these can feel restricted or slowed down because of Saturn in your 8th house. So the collaborations and financial matters may feel either sudden kind of energy or disruptive or slowing down kind of energy, even in the month of March and even going forward in this year, because Saturn stays there, North Node, and Uranus is still in your in 11th house. So you may, it's an ongoing kind of energy, but if you see it from a perspective of having practical goals and mature goals and, you know, a more realistic kind of goals in terms of your financial matters, what you want to achieve, then you will have a better understanding how to, you know, get past the limitations and get past the restrictions, Cancer, in terms of your social group project and in terms of your finances. Now Sun moves in the sign of Aries on the 20th of March when the spring equinox takes place, and Aries is your 10th house, which is your career. So from 20th of March you will be a little bit more you know, taking direct action in your career. You will be more ambitious, more goals oriented. You are definitely want to create that career that you want for yourself. You want to grow in your career, you want to climb up the career ladder, you want to have that reputation, public image for yourself, and you're very driven to take action in your career matters. And Mercury is going to move in the sign of in your career matters as well towards the end of the month of March. So you are definitely very accelerated kind of energy in terms of your mind is on it, you're networking in terms of your career matters, and you're really moving things forward once Sun moves in the sign of Aries where your career is concerned, Cancer. Now the other thing is Cancer, Venus will be in the sign of Aquarius from the 6th of March, but before that it was in your 7th house in the sign of Capricorn. So there was a lot of relationship kind of energy going on for the last few months. Now you're breaking away from the relationship kind of energy to a more intimate kind of scenario in your relationship. So it gets a little bit deeper where your relationship matter is concerned. So with Aquarius and Saturn there, you may feel some kind of restriction or unable to express emotions where your relationship is concerned. So definitely lead from a space of you know, having a mature kind of understanding when you're dealing with relationship. And you know, if you're unable to express your views, it's better to have honest conversation, sit down, have a mature conversation to resolve matters. And anyways, if your relationship is on solid ground, this Venus in Aquarius conjuncting Saturn in your 8th house is only going to solidify the commitment, and the commitment to grow together, to you know, prosper together, to, you know, create abundance together is only going to you know, make it stronger in the month of March, towards the end of March. So just be cautious with this Venus in Aquarius energy, also forming a challenging aspect with Uranus in Taurus in 11th house. So relationship can be challenging during this time. So it's definitely important to look at all these, you know, relationship, money matters, your value system from a little bit more realistic space. And you do want freedom in these matters, especially the projects that you're taking on and the money that you want to make. But it may you know, you may have some kind of delays in that matter, and that can lead to disappointment, and hence you know, it can lead to issues in relationships. So definitely, lead from a space of maturity and, practicality, most importantly, Cancer. Leos, for you in the month of March 2022, there's a lot of emphasis on the Pisces sign, and Pisces is your 8th house, Leos. So 8th house is about shared finance, shared values. It's about intimacy. It's about, when you come together to build resources together for a mutually benefiting kind of scenario. 8th house is also about social finance, inheritance, gifts, taxes, and all that. So a new moon occurring in your 8th house can bring some kind of new energy regarding these matters. Now Jupiter is also conjunct this new moon, and Uranus is forming a sextiling aspect to this new moon, so there can definitely be some kind of new energy in terms of your financial matter. Now this new moon is conjunct Jupiter, so there's a lot of beneficial, expansive, hopeful kind of energy in your 8th house matter. And this new moon is also sextiling, which is a very harmonious aspect with Uranus, which is a very progressive, moving forward, freeing kind of energy. So all this applies to your 8th house matter. So there can be some kind of a new beginning, or your perspective around building resources, it takes a fresh start. So definitely do take some kind of initiative where joint resources are concerned around the 2nd of March, and also going forward, because Jupiter is going to remain in that house for the rest of the month and going forward as well, and Mercury is going to enter the sign of Pisces on the 9th of March. So there's a lot of mental activity as well around your 8th house, your value system, shared resources, and all that. So there's a lot of energy, 8th house energy, in the month of March. Now there's also Aquarius emphasis in the month of March and your 7th house, because Aquarius is the opposite sign to you, Leos, and it's all about relationship, partnership, business partnership, one-to-one interaction, and all that. Now Saturn is going through that sign for a year now, and will continue going until March 2023. Now Venus and Mars also enters Aquarius on the 6th of March, so there is going to be a lot of emphasis for you where your relationship is concerned. You're very action oriented, very ambitious, goals oriented regarding your relationship. Now if there are some kind of delaying energy that you're feeling due to Saturn going through your 7th house, the Mars and Venus can bring some kind of energy where you get a kind of a enthusiastic energy, ambitious energy in terms of maybe your business partnership, or you want to do something with people in your close circle, people you interact with. Maybe you want to network more, or just with your committed relationship you want to spend more time and give more time to love and affection in your relationship in the month of March. Now Uranus is your 10th house where North Node is going through. Now in the month of January, North Node entered the sign of Taurus, so it's going through your 10th house, Leos, and Uranus is already there. Now Uranus and North Node in your 10th house in the sign of Taurus is going to form a squaring aspect to planets in Aquarius in your 7th house, especially Venus and Mercury in the first 10 days of the month of March. Mercury will be squaring, and towards the end of the month of March, Venus will be squaring North Node, and in the middle of the month of March, Venus will be squaring Uranus. So there's a lot of kind of a delaying, challenging, kind of uneasy kind of energy where your relationship or your business interaction, partnership is concerned, and your career matters is concerned, or where you're heading, your life direction is concerned. So you may feel kind of a restless energy or delaying kind of energy in your career matters. You want growth, you want expansion, you want freedom in your career matter, you want to be able to take that, but you may be restricted due to other commitments. But it's very important to balance these energies well, and lead from a practical space, a more realistic space, mature space, and then you will be able to channel your energy in such a way that you can fulfill your commitments both in your career matters and your relationship matters as well. Now planets in the sign of Pisces in your 8th house is going to form a sextiling, a harmonious aspect with planets in Taurus. So Jupiter in Pisces, Neptune there, Mercury, Sun, all this is going to help your career matters. Maybe something in terms of your finances, maybe your spousal finance, or just the joint finance. There is some kind of enhancement or good news or beneficial, some kind of positive turn of events that is kind of helping you to grow in your career a little bit more with freeing kind of energy, and you're not much restricted by money in terms of the direction that you want to take. Maybe money aspect was limiting and you will not fully be able to embrace your career. With the Uranus energy, you need to fully embrace the energy for it to yield result and yield the positive progressive change freeing kind of energy. You need to really embrace it fully. So maybe there is some kind of beneficial energy in your 8th house matter that is helping you to really take that life direction, really fully commit yourself in that matter. Now, Sun will be moving the sign of Aries on the 28th of March, and then Mercury will move in the sign of Aries as well on the 27th of March. So there will be a lot of emphasis on Aries sign towards the later part of the month. And Aries is your 9th house, which is about traveling, learning. It's about exploring, trying out new territories, exploring new territory, exploring new options, meeting new people. So with 9th house energy, you are definitely probably planning a holiday. Maybe it's a good time to plan a holiday, or learn something new, or explore your mind, maybe connect with people you haven't connected before, especially when the Aries season begins, Leos. So definitely there's a lot of emphasis for you, Leos, in the month of March on your relationship, because lots of Aquarius, Venus, Mars and Saturn is there, and Mercury as well. And also your 8th house matter, which is about your joint finances and joint values, shared values. And obviously there's a major energy with the 10th house in your where the North Node and Uranus is. So all this thing is going to really get a boost up and really a major spotlight during this time. So make sure you are leading from a mature space. Make sure you're leading, the decisions you're making is more from a balanced space, and you're not imbalancing any aspect of your life by focusing more on one and ignoring the others. So definitely the growth is only going to take place, and overall a wholesome growth is going to take place when you have taken care of the areas of life that you need to take care of, and truly embrace your life directions going forward. And with North Node in the sign of Taurus in your 10th house, in with Uranus, you're going to see this rebirth change, in the next 18 months and going forward as well. But definitely the next 18 months is crucial for your career matters, but it's a good idea to be more, mature about your relationship and be more practical in terms of the expectations of the other people in your life and your expectations from them as well. So Leos, overall, use the month of March to explore, to expand, to take up new opportunities. Think in a different way in terms of taking up new opportunities. If there's any restrictive energy in terms of your career matters, get yourself out of it and think of different ways of doing it, matured ways of doing it, because there's a lot that can be achieved going forward, Leos, in terms of your careers, matter, relationship, your need for exploration, learning, traveling. All that is really good energy going forward for you, Leos. Virgos, for you in the month of March, there's a lot of emphasis in your opposite sign, which is Pisces, and your 7th house of relationship, because there's a new moon occurring in your 7th house on the 2nd of March, and then there will be a full moon occurring in your sign on the 18th of March in your 1st house. So Virgos, the month of March is going to be a lot about relationship with others and relationship with yourself as well. So you will have some kind of new beginning or new perspective, new approach in terms of how you see relationship, how you interact with other people, committed relationship, business relationship, partnership, or just any close ties, the interaction that you have. So you're going to go through kind of a change or new beginning in how you see your relationship, basically. And on the 18th of March, when the full moon occurs in the sign of Virgo in your sign, in your 1st house, there will be some kind of culmination of fulfillment in terms of the ideas or visions that you had, especially in terms of work and health matters, because Virgo, your sign is about work and health, productivity, usefulness, your daily routine, daily life, and all that. And in the first house, there's a lot of emphasis on yourself, on your self-image. First house is also to deal with health along with sixth house. So there will be some kind of realization around how you see yourself, your work, and health matters. Now, your seventh house is very much emphasized in the month of March, Virgos, because not just the sun is there, but also Jupiter, Neptune, and Mercury will be moving in the sign of Pisces on the 9th of March. So there is going to be a lot of emphasis with the relationship matters. You are thinking about your relationship a lot during this time, and you are very hopeful and optimistic regarding your one-to-one interaction. You want to grow in there. You're very positive about it. Beneficial energy, Jupiter in 7th house, is definitely a good energy in terms of expanding your relationship. Now, if you do have a committed relationship, this could be a time when you maybe make it official or move in together, or any kind of love relationship or even business partnership. It's a great time to take some positive, a new initiative where your relationship is concerned. Now, Virgos, there's a lot of emphasis on the sign of Aquarius as well in the month of March, because Mars and Venus is going to move in the sign of Aquarius on the 6th of March, and Saturn is already going through, transiting through the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is your 6th house, which is about work, health, your daily routine. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis in these matters. Now, with Mars and Venus in your 6th house, you're probably feeling very eager to take action where your work and health matter is concerned as well. You are more experimental and creative about your approach as well to your daily life and to your work and health matters. So if you're introducing a new diet plan or health regime, or if you want to change job, or you want to perform better in job, or just your work environment as well, all these things, you're very much creative, experimental in your approach, how you approach your productivity, usefulness on a daily basis. Now, Saturn is moving through Aquarius in your 6th house, so it is Saturn in 6th house is actually a good position, because it really solidifies your work matters, your productivity. You are able to give more in terms of your productivity. The output is really good. So Saturn going through with Venus and Mars, it's probably a very good time for you where your work and just daily life is concerned. With Saturn in 6th house, it's also going to give you a maturity and practical ways of handling if there are any kind of health matters that needs attention. So with Saturn 6th house, you're probably definitely more motivated to achieve your work and health goals that you have. Now, Uranus is in the sign of Taurus in your 9th house. Now, 9th house is about belief systems, it's about learning, and it's about traveling, and just being open to new opportunities and interacting with new people from different backgrounds, people you haven't interacted before, and experiences that you have never had. It's a completely uncharted zone, a new horizon. So planets in Aquarius, which is your 6th house, will be squaring Uranus in Taurus and North Node as well, because Venus will be forming a square aspect, and Mercury in the beginning as well, and Venus and Saturn will also form a conjunction in 6th house itself. So maybe you want to travel and you want to explore and you want to learn new things, and because of your work matters, you're not able to do that. With so much emphasis on your 6th house, though, it's a really good time to achieve and be productive as much as you can, but with a square to the 9th house, it's kind of stops you or restricts you from exploring and exploring new horizons. But the Pisces planet in the 7th house is quite helpful and optimistic with these whatever your exploration needs are, desires are. So even if you feel restrictive, maybe you can find a solution and actually take on those new opportunities that will help you grow and prosper, Virgos. Now, on the 20th of March, Sun is going to move in the sign of Aries and in your 8th house, and also Mercury is going to move in the sign of Aries on the 27th of March. So with Sun in the sign of Aries in your 8th house, which 8th house is about your shared finances, shared values, resources, especially from a mutually benefiting situation or with close ties, so building those resources up together, or even in a business partnership, gains you have from a business partnership, because 7th house is business partnership and 8th house is a gains from that partnership. So with Jupiter in your 7th house and Sun moving into your 8th house with Mercury there, you are definitely very much fully enthusiastic, ambitious regarding the gains that you can get from a business partnership, or just trying to build your resources, whatever the gains that you want to get, building financial stability and security, and just be a little bit more ambitious, goal oriented where that is concerned. Now with Mercury in the sign of Aries in your 8th house, you can use your skill to create your abundance, or the resources that you're trying to build together, or gains from a partnership. So because Mercury is to do with not just skills and capability, it's also to do with networking, it's to do with business dealings, contracts, negotiations, and all that. So in your 8th house, it could be a good time to look at any kind of contracts that you can sign, which will help you enhance your material ambitions, the financial well-being that you're trying to achieve. You will be very ambitious as well to do that, and your mental state, your mentality is also in such a place that you're very enthusiastic and you want to take on the challenges to gain to have gains going forward. So Virgos, for you overall in the month of March, there's a lot of emphasis on your relationship with yourself and others, and also your work and health matters most definitely. And it's a great time to really put down some kind of solid practical plan where your work and health matters is concerned, and also be a little bit realistic in terms of your approach towards work and health matters. And if you feel any kind of delays or restriction in limitation in terms of you wanting to explore, learn, or travel, then if you see it in a different way, and Jupiter in your 7th house is definitely going to bring that beneficial energy in terms of how you can or open your mind to exploring. If you're not able to physically plan and go because of your work commitments, maybe you can learn something new and expand your mind through that, Virgos. Libras, for you in the month of March 2022, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is your 6th house, Libras. The 6th house is all about work, health, and daily routine, and on the 2nd of March, there's going to be a new moon in the sign of Pisces in your 6th house. So this could be a time when you can look at your work routine, your health matters in a new perspective, have fresh beginnings in your health and work matters, and your just daily life and daily routine as well, how you structure your day and all that. Now Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces as well, conjunct this new moon, and Uranus is making a sextile harmonious aspect with this new moon, and Uranus is in the sign of Taurus in your 8th house. So there's a lot of positive energy coming in your 6th house matter of productivity, of usefulness, of structuring the day, routine, habits, work, health, all that. So use this time to have a fresh start in whatever you're doing, you have work related matters, and you will see the results, the outcome over the next 6 months, the culmination or some kind of fulfillment in those matters. Now there's also a lot of emphasis on Aquarius sign in this month, and Aquarius is your 5th house. Now 5th house is all about self-expression, creativity. It's about romance, love, recreational time, having a fun time, your children as well. So Venus and Mars is going to move in the sign of Aquarius on the 6th of March, and Saturn is already going through your 5th house. Now with Saturn going through your 5th house, you may be feeling some kind of restriction in terms of your self-expression or creativity. Maybe you want to express more and you're not unable to express more. You're unable to give more time to your creativity maybe during this time because of other commitments. Also when it comes to having a good recreational time, a downtime, maybe you're feeling some kind of limitations there as well. But when Venus and Mars will move in the sign of Aquarius in your 5th house, you will feel a little bit more experimental about your creativity, or the time that you spend with your loved ones to have fun. You will be a little bit more experimental and more instinctively in tune with wanting to have more fun, because Venus and Mars is kind of a creative, ambitious kind of energy where your 5th house matter is concerned. So maybe if you have a creative project, you'll be a little bit more ambitious and creative in that matter during the month of March. Now, North Node and Uranus is in the sign of Taurus in your 8th house of shared finances and shared values and intimacy as well. So Saturn in your 5th house is squaring the planets in your Taurus, in sign of Taurus, and also Mercury, which is going to be in the sign of Aquarius in the beginning of the month of March, and on the 9th of March it moves to the sign of Pisces in your 6th house. But the first 9 days of the month of March, Mercury is also in the sign of Aquarius, so it will be forming a square aspect to North Node and Uranus in your 8th house. So when Mercury in Aquarius forms a square aspect with North Node in your 8th house in the sign of Taurus, you may have difficulty in communicating what your inner desires are, what your true path, or following that, giving it more time. You may have difficulty over there. But when Mercury moves in the sign of Pisces, then it will be more in tune with your North Node in the sign of Taurus, so you will have a more kind of harmonious energy in terms of what you're trying to achieve after 9th of March. You will be able to achieve more, your skills and capability, you will be able to use that more to achieve your North Node, the sole purpose that you're trying, the direction that you're trying to go on. You'll be able to achieve that more after 9th of March. Now, Venus will be conjunct Saturn in your 5th house. Now, Venus, when it conjuncts Saturn, and this is happening towards the end of the month of March, it's not in the beginning. The planets in your 5th house in the sign of Aquarius will be squaring planets in Taurus, the transiting planet in Taurus in your 8th house, which is North Node and Uranus. But towards the end of March, Venus is going to not only form a conjunction with Saturn, but also form a square aspect with the North Node, and in the middle of the month of March, on the 19th of March, is going to square Uranus. Now, Venus is about money and relationships, so maybe there would be some kind of challenges or restriction regarding your relationship or your creativity, or your money matters, or just your value system, how you project yourself, your values, what you will value. So whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever the work you're trying to achieve, the direction that you're trying to take, met with some kind of limitation or challenges during this month. So it's very important to approach these matters from a little bit more mature perspective and practical and realistic space, rather than just letting it take over your time and space and limit you further. Now, on the 20th of March, Sun is going to move in the sign of Aries in your 7th house, the house of relationship, and on the 27th of March, Mercury is going to move in the sign of Aries. So there will be Sun and Mercury both in your 7th house. Now, 7th house is relationship, so you will be definitely more driven and to take on any kind of relationship matters, and you'll be very much committed as well to improve if there are any kind of any kind of lacking kind of energy in your relationship. And with Mercury in Aries in your 7th house, your mental state is also very much quick and direct, want to take direct action, and is thinking in that way as well. And this is not just in personal relationships, it can be business matters as well. If it's a business partnership or a deal, business dealing, you are trying to sign or a contract, negotiate your deal or anything, Mercury here is going to give you that skills, capabilities, and that mental state to approach things more directly and more honestly from the end of the month of March. So overall, Libras, it's really a great time to have fresh start in your work matters and your health matters. So do lay down some kind of foundation from the 2nd of March onwards, and you will see some culmination, fulfillment by the time it's full moon in Pisces in the month of September. And also where your creativity is concerned, look at things from more practical point of view, where your creative project is concerned, because a lot can be achieved if you are a bit more mature in your approach, Libras. Scorpios, for you in the month of March 2022, there's an opportunity to have fresh start in terms of your fifth house matter, because that's where your Pisces sign is. Now there will be a new moon on the 2nd of March in the sign of Pisces, and this new moon is conjunct Jupiter and is forming a very harmonious aspect with Uranus in the sign of Taurus in your 7th house. So the 5th house matter is very harmoniously aligned with 7th house matter. Now 5th house is about creativity, self-expression, creative project, entertainment, recreational activity, romance, love, children. And 7th house is the house of relationship, both business and personal. So Scorpios, there's a need to look at your 5th house matter in a new perspective and have some kind of fresh beginning in your 5th house matter. Maybe you can start a creative project, or maybe a new love kind, a romance kind of situation can arise in your life during this time. And especially the next 6 months, you will see the events unfold and will reach some kind of fulfillment or culmination in the month of September, when the full moon in Pisces occurs. Now this new moon is together with Jupiter, so there's a lot of beneficial, lucky energy in your 5th house. So this is a great time to begin something in your 5th house matter, something to express yourself creatively, or a creative project, or even some kind of romantic situation, or just go and have fun, do something that your heart desires, something that brings you happiness. So all that energy is definitely there. And with Uranus in your 7th house, your relationship is already going through change, transformation and reboot over last few years, Scorpios, and will be going through for the next few more years. Now North Node has entered your 7th house in the month of January, so there's an added emphasis on relationship, especially transforming relationship and the way you interact with other people. And this new moon in your 5th house is going to help you see things in a different perspective. You can create or build relationship that is more freeing, more trustworthy, and you're able to interact with people more on more freeing kind of progressive kind of space, rather than worrying about any disruption or kind of erratic kind of energy in your relationship. So this North Node entering your 7th house is very karmic, and is asking you to be a little bit more spiritual in your approach when interacting with other people. Now there's a lot of Aquarius energy as well during this the month of March, and Aquarius is your 4th house. 4th house is about home and family life. So Venus and Mars is going to enter on the 6th of March in the sign of Aquarius, and Saturn is already transiting through your 4th house in Aquarius. Now Mercury is also going to be in the 4th house in Aquarius until the 9th of March, when it moves in the sign of Pisces in your 5th house. Now until then, there's a lot of emphasis on 4th house matter. So with Venus and Mars over there, you're definitely very much ambitious, creatively inclined, and you really want to make things happen in terms of your house matters. Now it can be redecoration, it can be renovation, it can be moving to a new place, whatever that might be. Now with Saturn moving through your 4th house, there might be some kind of limitations in terms of what you're trying to achieve, but with this Venus and Mars, it's kind of a harmonizing energy. You will get some kind of boost, most definitely. Now planets in Aquarius will be squaring planets in the 7th house, because it's fixed sign angle 4th and 7th. So you have Venus, Mars, Mercury and Saturn in your 4th house. So there's a lot of 4th house energy for you, and also relationship, because there's Uranus and North Node there. So you may find restriction challenges in terms of what you're trying to achieve at home, but this new moon in Pisces, and with Jupiter and Mercury after the 9th of March and Neptune, all that energy in your 5th house is quite optimistic energy. So you will feel optimistic, hopeful regarding 5th house matter, and it will have a kind of a harmonious effect on your relationship angle as well. On the 20th of March, Sun moves in the sign of Aries, and on the 27th of March, Mercury is going to move in the sign of Aries, Scorpio. Now Aries is your 6th house. Now 6th house is work and health matter. Now when Sun and Mercury enters your house of work, you are definitely in a mental space to work hard, to be ambitious, to get things done, a bit more action oriented and direct action oriented you are during this time. So use this time after that to really get back on either some kind of a work kind of a project, or health project, maybe a diet regime or some kind of diet plan or health plan you want to introduce, or you want to work on that, really you will be very enthusiastic to take those actions. So Scorpio, the month of March is great for creativity. It's great for expression of creativity. It's great to build maturity in your home environment. It's great for having transformation and being more spiritual about relationship, and also your work and health is going to get a boost during this month. So it's very important to not see any kind of challenges and limitations as something that is holding you back, or or you're unable to reach the soul path, the purpose, the life purpose that you're trying to achieve with the North Node in the 7th house, with this challenging energy from Saturn, especially in your 4th house in terms of your whole home matter. Maybe something at home is holding you back to achieve the best in relationship that you want to achieve, but relationship is also going through a lot of change. So use the squaring aspect to redefine, restructure and solidify your home life, and it will have a ripple effect on your relationship as well, Scorpios. Sagittarius, for you, the month of March, in the month of March 2022, there's going to be a lot of focus in your 4th house matter. Now 4th house is home matters, family matters, your emotional and physical foundation. So there's going to be a new moon occurring in the sign of Pisces in your 4th house on the 2nd March. So new moon is a time for new beginnings, new perspective, looking at things in a renewed way, in a fresh way. So there's an opportunity for you, Sagittarius, to have fresh start where your home and family matters are concerned. Now this new moon is conjunct Jupiter, so it's a very beneficial, optimistic, hopeful, expansive time where your home matters are concerned. And also this new moon will be sextiling Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So there's a lot of energy in your 4th house, and this is a great time to have fresh beginning, to look at things in a new perspective. Or even if you're decorating the home, your house, and or if you're moving onto a bigger or better place, or just a place where you are a little bit more in tune with yourself, a place more like a sanctuary where you can be a little bit more peaceful with yourself. So definitely that energy is most definitely there. So think about something you can do around 2nd of March around your home matters and family members as well, to approach how you approach family members as well, their expectation and your expectations of them. So it's a very beneficial time, very optimistic time, and also very progressive time with the sextiling, harmonious energy of Uranus on this new moon. Now there's a lot of emphasis on Aquarius as well in the month of March, and Aquarius is your 3rd house, which is the house of networking. It's a house of communication. It's a house of sharing information and ideas. It's a house of even giving interviews, job interviews, applying for jobs, and or signing deals. It's a very busy house. So with Aquarius energy in there, the Saturn is already moving through Aquarius, so moving through your 3rd house for a year now. So you may have felt a kind of restriction where your 3rd house matter is concerned, ability to move around freely, or connecting with people, or just communicating, all that may be a little bit restricted. But Venus and Mars will be moving in the sign of Aquarius on the 6th of March. So Venus and Mars is a very intense, ambitious, creative energy. So all this energy will be brought to your 3rd house matter. So you will be a little bit more ambitious. You will be a little bit more experimental in where your communication is concerned, or your networking, the people you're connecting with. Maybe you'll connect with people you haven't connected before, or the usual group that you connect with. Maybe you're reaching a bit further where opportunities are concerned, where signing a contract or deals is concerned, or just networking, maybe business trips and all that. Maybe you are thinking about these matters in a different way, a bit more experimental, a bit more unconventional, out of the box, a more logical kind of energy there is in your 3rd house matter during this time. Now Mercury is also going to be in your 3rd house in the sign of Aquarius in the first 9 days of the month of March, and then it moves on the 9th of March into the sign of Pisces in your 4th house. So the first 9 days of the month of March, there's a lot of energy in your 3rd house. There's Saturn, Venus, Mars and Mercury. So the combined energy of all these planets in your 3rd house is really asking you to make decision, to move forward, to be mature in your thinking, because Saturn and Mercury together in your third house is critical thinking, is mature thinking. And with Venus and Mars, it's a bit more energetic, more enthusiastic, more experimental with Aquarius energy. So definitely the first 9 days is a lot about how you're approaching things, how you're connecting with people, how you're networking, you know, your communication, and just basically energy around your information sharing and ideas sharing, Sagittarius. Now on the 9th of March, Mercury moves in the sign of Pisces in your fourth house. Now fourth house is your home life. So Mercury in Pisces in your matters around home is probably going to make you a little bit more you know, intuitive in thinking, or the decisions that you're making will come from a more maybe creative and intuitive place. You're a little bit more compassionate and accommodating of you know, around your home life, around your, you know, comfort, the emotional comfort and the home comfort that you have, and the family members as well. So 9th March onwards, you will have a lot of Piscean energy. Your Jupiter is there, there is Neptune there, and also Mercury, and Sun of course is there. So there's a lot of fourth house emphasis as well in the month of March. Now Sagittarius, Taurus is also quite emphasized during this month, mainly because it's getting aspects from planets in Pisces and Aquarius. So there's Uranus and North Node in your sixth house, where your Taurus sign sits, Sagittarius. So already you're going through a kind of a rebooting kind of energy where your work and health matters are concerned. And with North Node moving in your sixth house, it's really a time to, the focus is a lot on sixth house, to develop the sixth house matter, to learn anything, to learn new ways of approaching sixth house matter. The planets in Aquarius and Pisces will be making an aspect to the North Node in your sixth house in the sign of Taurus. So the beginning of the month, there's Mercury in the sign of Aquarius making an aspect, a squaring aspect to your North Node, and then later on in the month, in the sign of Pisces, it makes a sextiling kind of aspect. So in the beginning, maybe there could be some kind of hindrance or just a mental limitation, restriction in your mind regarding approaching your North Node or where your growth is. There might be some kind of mental restriction or communication difficulty. Maybe you find it difficult to communicate what you truly want, what your true needs are, your inner desires. But when it moves in the sign of Pisces and makes a sextiling aspect, which is a harmonious energy with your true node, with your North Node, then you will be a little bit more in tune. Then you will be able to, you know, communicate whatever you want to communicate a bit more easily. Now Venus in the sign of Aquarius will also be making an aspect with the true node, with the North Node, when it's in the sign of Aquarius, and it's a squaring aspect, so it's a kind of a challenging aspect. So towards the end of the month, when this Venus square North Node takes place, you may have a tendency to ignore or basically ignore what you are supposed to do, what you're supposed to learn, where your true calling is. You may have the tendency to, you know, ignore or, you know, just try to get past without dealing with that energy. So definitely, or it's just because you're not able to express it, you know, the way you should be expressing it, because Venus will be conjunct Saturn as well towards the end of the month. And Venus and Saturn together is kind of, can give a cautious or a practical kind of energy or a limiting kind of energy to what you're trying to express, you know, especially where your values lies, where your affection lies, especially in relationship as well. So there's definitely a lot of energy around your home matters, around your communication and your work and health matters. But it's also a great time to approach these matters in a practical way, and, you know, make decision, or your thinking needs to be a little bit more aligned with what you are trying to achieve, you know, where your soul growth will take place. Now when the sun moves in the sign of Aries on the 28th of March, your fifth house comes into focus, because that's where your Aries sign is, Sagittarius. And also on the 27th of March, Mercury is going to move in the sign of Aries from the sign of Pisces. So there's going to be Sun and Mercury both in your fifth house. The fifth house is all about creativity, self-expression, creative projects, romance, love. It's a house of your children and all that. So there's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of direct action, direct thinking, positive thinking, you know, moving forward, progressive kind of thinking in your fifth house matters. So it's a good time to really, you know, pay a little bit more attention to your fifth house, your creativity and all that. So overall, I think the month of March for you, Sagittarius, is is a progressive energy, most definitely. And because Aries season, when it starts, it's fire sign, so it kind of goes with your energy. But the first 20 days of the month of March, definitely there's a lot of Piscean energy and fourth house energy. So there's going to be a a lot more focus on your home matters, your emotional foundation, and your physical foundation, Sagittarius. Capricorn, for you in the month of March, there's a lot of focus on in your third house. Now, third house is where the Pisces sign is, and that's where the new moon in the sign of Pisces is going to occur on the 2nd of March. Now, this Pisces new moon is a great time to have fresh starts, new beginnings in your third house matter, which is regarding your communication, networking, your job, if you have any business regarding that. Short trips maybe, and also just communicating your ideas and what's on your mind, and connecting with people. So it's a great time to have fresh start, new beginning in those matters. Now, Jupiter will be conjunct this new moon, so it brings a very beneficial, optimistic energy to your communication and how you're communicating. Your outlook, your opinion, your perspective, all that gets a positive spin during this time. And it's a great time to think differently, think in a different way, in a renewed way, most definitely. Now, this new moon will be sextiling Uranus in the sign of Taurus as well, so it gets that extra energy of kind of being a little bit more out of the box, progressive, and more experimental as well, where your communication and just your general perspective, outlook, your mental your mental state is concerned. So definitely fresh start in your communication, networking, connecting with people, and even your any business dealings, if you have any contracts that you're signing or any job that you're starting. It's a great time to have those energies. Now, on the 3rd of March, Capricorn, there is going to be a conjunction of Venus, Mars, and Pluto occurring in your first house. So it's a very intense time because it's right in your first house near your ascendant. So it's going to really impact you, especially on the 3rd of March, because all this energy that has been building up of Venus, Mars, Pluto, and all that is going to combine its forces. So you will feel a little bit more energized, more intense, more powerful to make any kind of changes you want, any difference that you want to make. And with this new moon in your third house on the 2nd of March, just a day before, your whole perspective, you're thinking differently. So you may have some kind of a fresh beginning in these matters, just how you project yourself, your life path, your personal priority, your personal destiny, connecting with people. Even it's a great time to start something on social media or an online business, because third house has that natural Gemini energy. So something on social media, it's a great time to have some kind of new beginning there. And with Uranus in your 5th house, it's a time to really express yourself creatively as well, because this Uranus is making a very harmonious aspect with the new moon. So it's really a good time with this Capricorn, Pisces, and Taurus energy to really move yourself forward, renewed way of thinking, projecting yourself more powerfully, more differently, more passionately, more creatively as well, and expressing your creative self, putting yourself out there, taking a risk, obviously a calculated risk. So you are really looking into where you want to go, and this is a great time to really sow the seed, Capricorn. Now, there's a lot of Aquarius emphasis as well in the month of March, because there's Venus and Mars will be moving the sign of Aquarius from the sign of Capricorn on the 6th of March, and there's Saturn already there moving through the Aquarius sign since last year, and again the whole of this year. Saturn is going to be in your 2nd house in the sign of Aquarius. So there's a lot of 2nd house emphasis as well, which is your personal finance and your self-worth. So Saturn is already crystallizing, redefining, restructuring your sense of self-worth and your financial matter. So any kind of holding back of fear around financial matter is probably going to be there. But what Saturn is asking you here is to be more practical, more realistic in your approach of, how you handle your personal finance and how you manage it, basically. Now, with Venus and Mars together with Saturn and Mercury as well in the first 9 days of the month of March, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on your personal finance. So you're really very experimental thinking. You want to think outside the box. You're really, thinking how to make more money, basically, how to increase your personal finance. You're really pushing the envelope during this time. You're really thinking hard how to move forward. And when Mercury moves in the sign of Pisces on the 9th of March in your third house, it's going to give you that experimental and a little bit more intuitive and creative thinking in the sign of Pisces in the third house. And with Jupiter there, you're a little bit more larger than life while communicating, because you are coming from a very idealistic space, but inspired, creative, idealistic space, and you want something for yourself, and you know you will get there. So you are a little bit more inspired. Your communication and action is coming from a more inspired space. Now, planets in the sign of Aquarius and Pisces in the month of March will be making aspect to the planets in Taurus, which is North Node and Uranus. So Mercury is going to make an aspect, first a square aspect with the true node, the North Node in your fifth house in the sign of Taurus. So you might have some kind of difficulty understanding or communicating your financial matter, or especially in terms of your creative self, or trying to have fun, how to balance both the energies, because it's a squaring aspect. It's an uneasy aspect between your finances and your house of fun. But you will figure it out when Mercury moves in the sign of Pisces on the 9th of March. You will be a little bit more comfortable with how to balance both the energies, your finances and also your communication bit. Maybe you will come up with an idea, a business idea or something, that you have figured it out how to make more money and not to worry about spending money on things that you need and things that brings you joy, and you're more focused on creating something new, a new way of earning, and also new way of expressing. Third house is Pisces energy, and it's very inspired, intuitive kind of social media kind of energy. So definitely it's a great time to start something online, definitely express yourself on online or through internet. So that energy is definitely there. Now on the 20th of March, Sun is going to move in the sign of Aries, and on the 27th of March, Mercury moves in the sign of Aries from the sign of Pisces. So Aries is your fourth house, Capricorn. So a lot of focus on your home matters and family members and your own emotional and physical foundation. So with emphasis on your fourth house matter, you want matters around your home a bit uncomplicated and decluttered. You want the energy that you're feeling around your home matters. You're a little bit more experimental, and you want to take action. You're very enthusiastic about your home space. Maybe you're moving, and it's a great time to move as well, because Aries with the Sun and Mercury there as well. So with emphasis in your fourth house, Capricorn, you want your emotional and physical foundation a little bit uncomplicated, a bit straightforward, a bit honest. And just your emotional state as well, not just a physical foundation, not just a home, but your emotional stability, security. You want a little bit kind of straightforward energy in your home life. And with Mercury moving in there, you definitely are very quick in making decisions. If there's any decision that needs to be made around your emotional foundation, physical foundation, home life, family life, you are quick to make honest decisions, quick decision. So definitely it's a good time for renewing energy around your home life, and maybe renovating, or doing something around your house if there's something needs doing, because Mercury is your skills as well. So maybe a DIY or something that needs to be done around your home. It's a great time to do that. Now, towards the end of the month of March, Venus will be making aspects, first with Saturn in Aquarius in the same house where your second house is, and then with the North Node in your fifth house. So with Venus and Saturn together in your second house, there may be some kind of uncomfortable situation around your second house matter. So you may be difficult to express or manage your finances around that time. And when Venus makes an aspect with North Node towards the end of the month of March, you may find aligning yourself with your purpose a little bit difficult during this time, or uneasy. So it's it's definitely important to channel your energy properly, and it's a good idea to understand what you value, Capricorn, where your values lies. Aquarius, for you in the month of March 2022, there's going to be a lot of emphasis in your second house. Now, second house is where the sign of Pisces sits, and that's where the new moon is going to occur on the 2nd of March. So right at the beginning of the month of March, there's a opportunity for fresh starts, new beginning in your second house matter, which is to do with your personal finance and your self-worth, and matters around your possessions, assets, and just your sense of belonging, where your personal finance and money making capability is concerned. Now, this new moon is conjunct Jupiter in the sign of Pisces, so it brings a lot of optimistic, hopeful, beneficial energy in your money matters. So it's a great time to have that fresh start if you're thinking about starting something new, or a new project, or a new job, or a new business, or anything that can get you more money. This is a great time to set that intention. Now, this new moon is going to sextile that, which is a harmonious aspect with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Now, Uranus is this progressive, change-bringing kind of energy, and really freedom-giving energy. So there could be a sense of need for, or opportunity for, a start where your financial freedom is concerned, Aquarius. So great time to set intention around your money matters. Now, Aquarius, there's a lot of emphasis on your first house as well this month, because Saturn is already moving through your sign, and Venus and Mars is going to enter the sign of Aquarius on the 6th of March. And Mercury is also already there until the 9th of March. So there's going to be a lot of combined energy of these planets in your first house. Now, first house is about yourself, your personal destiny, how you project yourself, your priorities, and just your life path. So there's a lot of intense energy, creative energy, moving forward kind of energy, action oriented, enthusiastic, energetic energy in your first house itself, with Mercury as well there. So your mind, you're thinking about your life path, yourself, and what to do next, what's the next big step, and how to move forward, basically. So definitely all these are in your mind. If there is something restricting in your sense of path, or moving forward with Saturn energy there, this combined energy of Venus and Mars and with Mercury is going to make you a little bit more experimental, a bit unconventional, think outside the box to find solution to move forward. Now, Uranus and North Node is in the sign of Taurus. Now, Taurus is your 4th house, Aquarius, which is your home life and family members, and your emotional and physical foundation. So the planets in Pisces and Aquarius are going to make aspects to these energy in your 4th house in the sign of Taurus. Firstly, the Mercury is going to make a square aspect with North Node in the beginning of the month, and also later on a sextiling aspect when it moves in the sign of Pisces. So your thinking in the beginning of you may feel a bit restricted, where your communication is concerned, where what you want to achieve, your life path, it may be difficult to understand or communicate these energies at the beginning of the month. But when it moves in the sign of Pisces, you'll be a little bit more intuitively connected with your soul purpose, where you're heading, what you're trying to do, especially in regarding your home environment and your family members, what you're trying to achieve at your home, in your home environment. So definitely your domesticity, your emotional foundation and physical foundation is all going to get you will get a better understanding, and it will come intuitively, a kind of a gut feeling kind of situation as well in the middle of the month of March. Now, Venus in the sign of Aquarius is going to form aspects to the North Node and Saturn as well, because Venus and Saturn both are moving together in the sign of Aquarius in your first house. But this happens towards the later part of the month, right towards the end of the month of March. Now, before that, on the 20th of March, Sun is going to move in the sign of Aries. Now, Aries is your 3rd house, which is about communication, which is about sharing ideas, information, networking, and your environment as well, local environment, a short business trips, or just connecting with your near and dear ones. Now with Sun moving in the sign of Aries, it will join Mercury on the 27th of March, when Mercury moves in the sign of Aries. So there will be Sun and Mercury energy. So your mind and how you associate with your third house matter will be emphasized in the last 10 days of the month of March, and especially towards the end of March. So your communication style will be more straightforward, direct, less complicated. Now towards the end of the month, when Venus makes a square aspect with North Node, a relationship angle can come into focus basically, with some kind of uneasy aspect there, because your first house and your fourth house kind of comes in an uneasy configuration, especially towards the end of the month of March. Also at that point of time, Venus will be conjunct Saturn in your first house. So again, relationship may be difficult to assert your needs in relationship or in money matters as well, or in home family matters. So it's a good idea to lead from a realistic, practical and mature space. Decisions you're making, the family life that your expectations and their expectations of you, and your own life path which you are trying to walk on, and your soul purpose, all that needs to be approached a little bit more from a practical viewpoint, especially towards the end of the month when Venus is in your sign, in your first house. So Aquarius is about being unconventional and thinking outside the box, most definitely. But when it comes in conjunction with Saturn, which is about being practical, to have a practical approach, to have a mature approach, it's also a good idea to see things or resolve things from that space, Aquarius. So overall, Aquarius in the month of March is all going to be about yourself, your money matters, your home matters, your communication. All that is coming into play, and it's a great time to have fresh beginnings and look at your family matters and your communication, your money matters and all that in a new perspective, so that you can approach or resolve any matters from a mature and sometimes even out of the box space, Aquarius. Pisces, for you, the month of March 2022, there's a lot of focus in your sign, in your house, in the first house. So the first 20 days of this month it's Pisces season, so it's about you anyways, Pisces. So on the 2nd of March itself, there's a new moon occurring in your sign, in your first house. So it's a perfectly great time to have new beginning, new perspective in the way you approach life, in the way your outlook, in the way you see yourself, how you project yourself, your life path, your personal priorities, your personal destiny, all that, Pisces. So absolutely brilliant time to have fresh beginnings and see things differently, or with a renewed mindset on the 2nd of March. Now, this new moon is conjunct Jupiter in your first house and is forming a very harmonious sextiling aspect with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Now, with Uranus aspecting the new moon and Jupiter conjunct the new moon, it's a very beneficial time. It's a very fortunate time, and anything started around this time will be quite fortunate. You'll see the results or the actions unfolding over the next 6 months, and probably will come to culmination in the month of September 2022, when the full moon in your sign occurs. But now during the month of March, this is the time to put that intention down, set that intention, sow the seed of approaching yourself, your life in a renewed way, Pisces, because this new beginning can bring a sense of freedom to you, Pisces. Now, Mercury is going to move in your sign on the 9th of March, but until then it will be in the sign of Aquarius in your 12th house, along with Saturn there, which is already there for the last 1 year and is going to continue there this year as well, in your 12th house. And Venus and Mars moves in the sign of Aquarius on the 6th of March. So there's going to be a lot of combined energy of Venus, Mars, Mercury and Saturn in the first 9 days of month of March in your 12th house. And 12th house is to do with past pattern, is to do with your internal motivation, your subconscious self, your spiritual side, and just your inner connectedness, your inner desire. It's a house of karma, it's a house of past karma mostly. So all these buildup of energy in your 12th house is time to take a break and think over past patterns, or old patterns, especially the unresolved matters in your life. Once you resolve those matters, Pisces, then you will be able to have these fresh beginnings. Especially on the 9th of March, when Mercury moves in your sign, your mind is also in your first house. Mercury is the planet of communication, is the planet of thinking. So Mercury in your first house, in your Pisces sign, you are probably will be led after 9th of March a little bit more intuitively what you should do and how you should go about. Now there's emphasis on your third house as well, where your Taurus sign is, and that's where Uranus and North Node is there. Now North Node in the sign of Taurus in your third house is going to come together with Uranus at later part of this year, but in the month of March is going to form aspects with planets in the sign of Aquarius and in your sign, the sign of Pisces. So there will be when Mercury is in the 12th house in the sign of Aquarius, is going to form a square aspect with the North Node in your third house of communication. Now when Mercury, which is the planet of communication, forms a squaring aspect with planets in your third house, there is a kind of communication upheaval. It can cause uneasiness or challenges in the communication, basically, or the way you're thinking, your outlook and all that. So this is a good time to you really get rid of old ways of thinking, old patterns, your mindset and all that, because it's time definitely for renewed way of thinking and approaching any kind of issues in your life, especially past issues, because 12th house is about past karma. This is a time to have closure and really move forward. Now when Mercury moves in the sign of Pisces in your first house after the 9th of March, and will also makes a conjunction with Jupiter in the later part of the month, then you might have better results because you're more intuitively led and you're using your gut feeling more to think rather than being overly logical and practical and rational in your way of thinking and communicating as well. So definitely once it moves in the sign of Pisces, it's a little bit more in tune with your energy, Pisces. Now Venus in the sign of Aquarius will be forming a square aspect with North Node in your third house as well towards the later part of the month, and also Venus will be forming a conjunction with Saturn in your 12th house again towards the end of the month. But before that, on the 20th of March, Sun is going to move in the sign of Aries. Now Aries is your second house, and on the 27th of March Mercury moves in the sign of Aries. Now second house is your personal finance, your self-worth, how you value yourself and your money-making capabilities and all that. All this is very a personal finance, not a shared finance. So with Sun moving in there and with Mercury joining in later on, you will want your finances, especially the ones you earn yourself, a bit less complicated, and you would want to take action a little bit more directly where the money you earn yourself is concerned. So definitely the approach will be a little bit more straightforward, action, energetic, enthusiastic way of thinking as well where your finances is concerned. So you may come up with a business idea or a side hustle maybe, or something around your how you make money basically. So definitely that energy is there from the 20th of March. Now with the Venus aspecting the North Node towards the end of the month, it's a squaring aspect, so it's a challenging aspect. So Venus is to do with your relationship and money matters, and with the North Node in your third house, North Node is basically what you're learning and where you want to get to. So with the Venus aspecting squaring this North Node, you may find it difficult to express yourself, especially in relationship or money matters, especially something that you desire, your true desire, your inner desire, whatever that might be. May be difficult to put that across. Now Venus will also make a conjunction with Saturn towards the end of the month. Now with Saturn, it's a little bit more practical, mature kind of energy, and in your 12th house again the relationship and money angle. Any past pattern with money and relationship may come to forth because 12th house is a very karmic house and Saturn is a karmic planet. So whatever you are putting out in the world, this is time to resolve while Saturn goes through your 12th house. So with Venus and Saturn together in your 12th house, you may tend to ignore matters that needs resolution, but it's better to resolve it rather than ignore it, because then it's better to continue with or moving forward in life basically, and you know, your soul evolution and all that is better if you have resolved any past issues. Now carrying that energy forward, well, once Saturn moves in your first house next year, is not really a ideal place you want to be, Pisces. So it's a good idea to you know, any expectations you have with yourself or others, all these are understood better, and anything that is holding you back are released, because 12th house is to do with releasing any old patterns, stuck patterns, especially if it's hindering your growth, with your close ties, relationship, money matters, your career matters, your job matters, your spousal matters, business matters, anything. If it's holding you back, it's best to release negative energy and move forward. And Venus, when it comes with your Saturn in this month, towards the end of this month, Venus is to do with values. So this is a great time to have a little bit more practical and mature understanding of what your values are, Pisces. So this was my astrological analysis of the month of March 2022. So this month is a really positive month in terms of taking action and have new beginnings after getting rid of old energies, because Pisces is the 12th sign, so it's about ridding yourself from old stuck energies and moving, have new beginnings in wherever your Pisces sign sits. And once Aries season becomes, it's all about being straightforward, direct, moving forward, honest in your actions and words. So definitely it's a great time to lead from an intuitive, mature, practical and direct space. So thank you very much for watching and have a lovely day.